I think about your business all the time, even when I'm not working, and this is going to prove it. I'm John Sanpetro, and on this episode of the Stamping is My Business podcast, I'm going to share how my hobby can help you in your business. As many of you know, I am an amateur photographer. I take pictures all the time. I live in New Orleans, Louisiana, and there is always something here to take pictures of. It could be a festival, it could be a parade, it could be a concert, it could just be a New Orleans character, somebody you see on the street. The city of New Orleans itself is incredibly picturesque. The French Quarter with its great architecture and the Garden District with its beautiful mansions and Audubon Park with the beautiful oak trees and the Spanish moss dripping down. There's, believe it or not, a ton of wildlife in New Orleans, especially birds, and so there's a lot of opportunities there as well. It's a great place if you enjoy taking pictures. You're never lacking for a subject. And I often walk around with my camera and my backpack and a couple of different lenses, and I really do enjoy taking pictures. Here's the thing, though, and this is something that has been a bit of a problem for me for many, many years. I take a lot of pictures, and I don't know, it could be because when I was a kid, there weren't a lot of pictures being taken of me. I always joke that my entire childhood fits into one photo album. My parents took pictures, but they didn't take a ton of pictures. And so you can pretty much get through birth through like age 6 in one photo album. And compare that to my son, who probably had, and this is not an exaggeration, I had taken thousands of pictures of him by the time he was 6 years old. Again, not an exaggeration. Now, of course, we have digital photography, and it's a lot easier to take a lot of pictures nowadays, right? You can just pop a memory card into your camera and you could take 1,000 pictures before you have to change that memory card. When I was a kid, we were using film, and I think, you got 12 pictures on a roll or 24 pictures on a roll. Maybe you got that extra 25th picture if you were lucky. And you never knew how the photos turned out. So there were probably a lot of photos that people took that just didn't develop for some reason, that were not good, that didn't make the cut into the photo album. Again, it's not like today where you take a picture, you can see exactly what it looks like on the screen, and then you can take another picture. So there are obviously reasons why there were far fewer pictures of me than there are of my son, but that probably contributes to this problem of mine, the problem that I take too many pictures. I can go out and I can shoot an event and easily come back with hundreds of pictures on a memory card. I can go out and shoot a multi-day event like Jazz Fest, and I could easily come back with thousands of pictures on a card. The problem with that is I never actually get around to processing those pictures. I'm sure that there are many people, many of you, who have taken a number of digital photographs that you've never done anything with, that you've never printed, that are still sitting on your computer for one reason or another. I'm certainly in that boat, and that actually distresses me quite a bit because I know that the digital domain, it's fleeting. Once you could lose your photos very easily depending on how you back them up. People can lose track of where your photos are stored. I do worry about that a lot of these digital photos are going to just not last the way that our printed photos have lasted. There are pictures of my parents when they were kids and my grandparents from 40, 50, 60 years ago. I do worry that a lot of the photos today are not going to survive for 40, 50, 60 years for our children and grandchildren to see. And so I'm stuck with a lot of photos that I've just never gotten around to processing and printing. I'm sure many of you do that as well. And it is a source of some frustration for me. It's also a source of a little bit of anxiety, as you can tell. And so what I've done to address that is change the way that I take pictures. Instead of just shooting like crazy now when I go out and thinking, well, I'll filter it out. I'll filter down the good ones when I come back home. I now recognize that although that might be a great way to do things, it's not a realistic one. And so now when I go out, I take far fewer pictures than I did before. I really plan my shots. I will take a lot longer to compose a shot before I shoot it. And I won't shoot multiple images of the same subject or the same scene like I used to do. So I end up taking a lot longer in the field. I take fewer photos in the field, and I come home with far fewer photos on my memory card. Also, because I've become more experienced at photography and I've learned a lot about my craft, I know now what I'm shooting for. I know what I'm trying to capture. In the old days, I probably just kind of threw a lot up against the wall and hoped that something stuck. Nowadays, I know what I want to get from a photo, and so I know what I need to do with the camera in order to get there. So I don't have to do quite as much post-processing after I take the photo. What this has allowed me to do now is process and print a much, much higher percentage of my photographs. There's a lot less waste in my photography, a lot less wasted time, and a lot less wasted photos. And I am far less frustrated, and I have a lot less anxiety because of it. And so I'm a much happier person as a result. And I was thinking about this one day when I was out and about shooting. I was thinking about how this also can pertain to your business. And you may have already drawn the parallels yourself as you're listening to me speak here today. But there really are a lot of parallels to what I was doing with my photography and what a lot of you do with your stamping businesses. A lot of you overextend yourselves, especially when it comes to purchasing product. How many of you purchase more product than you realistically need? How many of you purchase product that you never, ever get to use? How many of you purchase product that sits on your shelves for literally years at a time? How many of you purchase product that goes onto the retiring list before you've even had a chance to open the package? I would say that if we were doing an honest poll of the stamping world, the majority, and I would think a large majority of stamping business owners would have to say yes to at least a few of the questions that I just asked. And I know that it leads to frustration, and I know that it leads to anxiety, especially when the retiring list comes out every year, because I hear it from my clients every year. And so I would really encourage you to do what I did. Take what I did in my photography hobby and apply those same principles to your stamping business. Rather than just buying everything and hoping you'll get around to using it, plan before you buy. And don't buy without a plan. Things may or may not sell out before you get around to buying it, but since your job is to, sell product, owning something that is sold out isn't really helpful for you anyway. So don't get upset if something sells out before you get a chance to buy it, because if it sells out, you can't sell it. It doesn't matter, right? You should make sure that you're not actually pulling the trigger on a purchase unless and until you have a plan to sell it. And some of you are buying far, far more product than your business can actually support. Right? I mean, let's be honest. Some of you are buying more product than you could ever possibly sell to the number of customers that you have. And so you're just throwing money down a hole when you do that. You have no hope of selling it because you just don't have that many customers. So you don't want to buy what you can't sell. And the way that you avoid that, and you avoid the frustration and the anxiety that comes along with that, is you make a plan. Make a plan to sell whatever you're going to buy before you actually buy it. And then execute that plan. Sell that product. And after you've sold that product, then go buy some more. What's going to happen if you do it that way is you're going to actually sell a much higher percentage of the product that you're purchasing. You're going to be a lot more profitable because there's going to be far less waste in terms of your spending, and you're going to be a lot less frustrated and have a lot less anxiety over the amount of wasted product sitting on your shelves. I will tell you that whether it's a hobby like photography for me or a business like stamping is for you, executing these strategies is going to make you much happier, much more profitable, and in the long run, you're going to buy more stuff anyway because you're going to be here a heck of a lot longer. If you enjoyed this episode of the Stamping is My Business podcast, please feel free to like it, share it, subscribe to it, and listen to more. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, our website, stampingismybusiness.com, and on our Facebook page, facebook.com/stampingismybusiness. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, please email them to me at john@stampingismybusiness.com. This is John San Pietro, and I'm just trying to get you paid.